Okay, I will start to speak in English because I have to speak in English, and even if I'm not so good, and I know that most of you are here just to hear me speak in English. And thank you to be here. I'm Gianmarco Bartolomucci from Always Positive, that in Italian is Sempre Positivi, for the international students here. And our concept of positivity is not a concept of say with a 360 smile degree all the times, but is a concept that means to see the things in the positive way. To see the positive side of the things and try to solve the problems without complaining, without doing anything. Thank you to Francesca Berti that she is here with her mobile phone, and thank you to all the guys, the beautiful girls that want to enjoy this beautiful presentation. But we are not here to say stupid things like we are doing, but we are here to speak about startup, because many times we hear this term, and most of the time we don't know what it means, or better, we don't know how to run up a startup in a practical way. And many times we have a lot of ideas, even brilliant ideas, and we don't know how can we put in practice this kind of ideas. And we are here to help you. I'm not alone here because I'm not the best person to explain this kind of situations, but I'm here with Luca Pisano.
Thank you, Gianmarco. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for Gianmarco for your presentation. And I've been invited from Gianmarco and Sempre Positivi to present my personal experience and about how to run a startup with a business model based on mobile applications. I have set up my own software development startup that is running since 2014, and I have helped the foundation of other 3 startups. One then I will detail it even more. One in the hotel market, one in the social media market, and then the last one in the disco clubs and nightclubs market.
Okay, I think that after the presentations we can start with the questions. And the first question that I want to ask you, Luca, is are there any specific characteristics that are necessary to run a startup?
Not for sure. I think that anyone can run a startup if the person has a lot of volunteer to run the business. I mean, you don't have to you don't need to have some specific characteristic like being able to program, for example, software, or being able to do just marketing, because the startup is composed by a team. So if you're able, the one thing that is required with commas is the ability to build a team. Build a team that is coherent with your own vision, and this team will be able to bring you at the top of your business activities. In fact, sometimes some people will specialize in marketing. That is a strong requirement to build a startup. In fact, you have to advertise your startup, as nobody knows you when you go live. Then you need probably someone that can code. So you need a programmer, a software developer, or an IT architect. That is a person that sets up the architecture of your solution. Then you need a designer. A designer is another member of a team that works in conjunction with the marketing person, and takes care of how your screens or how your brand will be presented to people. So I think that there is no individual feature that is needed to run a startup, but it's important to have a team that is coherent.
Perfect. This is very, very, very important. So the team, and practically speaking, I wake up with a good idea, okay, and what I have to do practically, I have a good idea and I want to run my ideas in the world.
What idea are you speaking about? What kind of idea? A generalistic idea? Fantastic. So you wake up in the morning and you say, I want to build my startup. So you have to conceptualize first, what do you want to do? You wake up in the morning, you take a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, and you start drawing or writing your conceptualization, the conceptualization of your idea. So you start writing, who do I need to start my business, e.g., how many people do I need? Do I need the designer? Do I need the coder? Do I need a marketing person? What amount of finance do I need to set up my solution? To who I'm going to ask the monies? And then you have to conceptualize, as I said before, your idea. I mean, you start brainstorming yourself and with the other people that follows you in your idea, and you start asking, my idea is based on this concept. You write those concepts with their attributes and you try to link each concept to another in order to make your idea coherent. For example, if you have to give me one example, what a startup would you like to run? A generic. Social network, okay. A social network is composed by users, first of all. So one concept is the user. You have to write it down and to analyze its attributes. For example, what does a user have? A name, a surname, a date of birth, a place where he lives, etc. Then another concept is the post. For example, I'm taking an example, Facebook. The post that is an element that is composed by text, photos, a series of photos, a series of videos, etc. You have to link them, and the link is how many people can post something, or which people can post and where. So you have to define even the dashboard where the posts will be stored. So which people can publish a post in which dashboard. So you have to make this conceptualization so that your idea takes flight.
You talk about finance. Which is the best way to raise finance? It
depends on your idea substantially. Normally, when you start a business, you don't have so much people that believe in you at the beginning. So you have to start a phase that is persuading people that your idea is one of the best and is financeable. So you have to persuade people to give you money, the money you need to develop a prototype, because the first phase is after the brainstorming that you are done and the conceptualization, you have to build a prototype to present it to investors.
Where I have to look for these investors?
Okay. Normally, you ask your parents at the beginning. At the very beginning, you have your own funds, and you start with this. So you ask your parents or people that are around you, exactly, friends. But normally, when you compose the team, there are some people that would like to work for your team for equity. So they don't require an amount of money to make their activities, but they do it for free. For free, I mean for equity, because they expect to have a larger share in the future. So look for people that are willing to work with you in this kind of a contract, we mean. Then, when you have developed the prototype with those people and with those funds, you start to look for other investors. And I mean the accelerators like Luisa Labs, like LV Venture Capitals, like some accelerators that are located in northern of Italy, especially in Veneto region that is very active in accelerators programs. And you start doing applications to these accelerators to have funds up to 30, 50, or at least 80,000 euros that are found that you need to improve your prototype and start your live. We mean start the production. So you go into the market, and one requirement that each of these accelerators require is that you start giving invoices, emitting invoices. So you start receiving amount of money from your clients, because otherwise they will not return in the investment that they have made. Finally, when you have started your market, so your campaign, your objective will become the expansion. The phase, financially speaking, is called expansion financing, where you start looking for others and bigger financiers that will replace the accelerator and will give you amounts like 1,000, 2,000 euros, etc.
You talk about the Lewis and Labs, and I think that Lewis does a lot for help guys to have their own startup. And what I would like to stress is the relation between the knowledge that I acquire inside the university and my personal baggage. What is the relationship between these two factors? What is the best things that I need? I need more personal baggage. I need more university skills.
This is a very good question, because it's very important to understand this. Well, it depends on the idea you're running, because if this is an idea that takes the base from an academic field, so you need the academic part. For example, if you are developing the new bank like Widiba or other banks like this, you need to have strong abilities in finance, and then you learn this in the academic world. Otherwise, if you are running your business in other fields, for example, night disco clubs or hotels or restaurants or tourism, etc., you have to own an experience in those fields, because this means that you will be able to start your contacts with more speed, with more ease. But I personally believe that personal experience is more required than academic experience in relative terms, because personal experience, I mean not only the capacity that you have, but even soft skill. You have to go to look for your team, and this is not something that you learn in the university. Or you have to, for example, persuade the financiers. This is not an ability that you learn in class. You certainly learn how to base your financing solution. For example, if you are going to look for equity, or if you're going to look for debt, or how much amount of money do you need? So this is done in the university. But how to persuade a person is your personal ability. In my specific case, I had a strong ability in IT programming, in software development, and this helped me in a huge way to start my startup that is a software development startup, that is an abstract startup. It's not based on something in particular. But for example, the clients that required me to run a startup in the hotel market, they had done a faculty in tourism management at La Sapienza here in Rome. So a strong combination of the two is absolutely required.
You said that the programming helping a lot, but you learned programming in the high school, where no, you start. Okay, yeah. During the school, where the free time is a lot. And what do you suggest to a guy that wants now to start programming? Because now we have not so many time to do extra things respect to the university. Because now we have to study, we have to prepare exams, and maybe the university, I don't know, maybe the university does not stress a lot these practical things of the real world.
Exactly, this is true. Even if the loft here is an area where a lot of courses take place for these practical abilities, such as there is a course about programming held by Professor Laura, that is a professor here in the university, that teaches you how to build software with Python, I believe, and Java. Then there is another course held by me on how to develop an application with a cross-platform framework. It gives you the ability to start to build an application for iOS and Android. So something is moving, even in the academic world. The objective is to arrive to the vision of the United States, where in the high school, guys are taught on how to program some basic software. I mean, sprites and icons that move around the map, or very little games with a lean artificial intelligence. But this is incredibly useful to understand the concept that is behind the coding. So for you that are here at the moment that you are finishing university, I believe that the best, if you want to program, if you want to code exactly, the best is to look for a people that are for a person that already knows how to program in deep, so in detail, and have sessions with him. For example, a month and a half, 2 months of sessions when he teaches you in real time and in practice what do you need to do to program your website, for example, or your application. Take in mind that programming an application is more and more difficult in comparison with programming a website. So look for someone that is able to do this and follow him in his real activities, and ask him to explain each line of code that he's writing, because in the first weeks you probably will not understand anything that is written on the screen, but you will understand the mentality, the concept that is behind the coding. So for example, the concept of the class, the object, the script, the operating system. So you need the base. Then in the last part of the month you start probably understanding what is written on the screen. So look for someone that teaches you at the beginning.
Maybe the most important resources is time, I think. And how much time do you have for your startup, and how much time do you have for free?
Zero time for both. I mean, personally, here I am taking a degree in economics, and I am finishing my degree here at Lewis. So I have to write the thesis, and I have to work like a trainee in an office here in Lewis. So merging these both activities is very high to find free time, spare time. Even though I have my free time, it was a joke that I have 0 free time. I can arrange some free time because I can schedule my activities on what do I have to do each day. So I wake up in the morning and I say, today I have to do this until 8 o'clock, for example. And then I go out with friends or I gather with some people, etc. So you can look for your free time and even for your for the time you need to understand, for example, how to program or how to build a startup. Normally, the best range of the day is the evening after the dinner. For example, I did it for 2 years. After the dinner, you have 3 hours until you go to sleep, and you look for YouTube videos, for example, on that explains you how do you code, or you look articles about how to look for financiers, or study the applications that you need to do for the accelerators. So I think that you can find it in the night.
Thank you, Luca. What I wanted to ask you is, are there some university courses that can deal better with the world of the startup? So I can say, okay, I want to do this kind of course because I want to run my own startup.
Yes, I think so. Here in Louis, do you mean? Specifically here in Louis, I don't know the entire program, so maybe I miss some. But for sure, digital marketing is a course that is fundamental to understand how the marketing sector works in your startup. And this course is held by Massimo Ibarra, if I'm not wrong, that is the CEO of Wind3, the biggest Italian telecommunication operator now. So this is a course where I suggest you to attend. Furthermore, digital transformation is another course held by Professor Spagnoletti, Paolo Spagnoletti, that teaches you the new trends in the world of technology. So he explains you how to deal with Bitcoin, for example, or with the design of screens with business models, because you do many courses in the university, but the only courses where I have seen a business model canvas were digital transformation and strategics. So I suggest you to attend at least these two courses that are elective courses, if I'm not wrong, to understand the trends and to have a deeper knowledge of the world of startups. If you are interested then in the quantitative field, I remember that there is a course about big data analytics and marketing, quantitative marketing, that can help you in structuring your idea if you want to run a startup based on quantitative marketing, for example. Targeting campaigns, Facebook campaigns, Google AdWords, and something like that.
Do you think that more incentives for guys are required? Because I have to leave a lot of things maybe to start to thinking about an idea, to work on it. Maybe I have to I don't know, leave a little bit of studies for my exams. I have to leave my free time, and maybe some incentives are required for a young guys that have to leave all these things.
Well, in particular, what do you refer of things?
What I have to what incentive? Okay. I think because if I decide to start my own business, obviously I have to dedicate more on find a team. I have to dedicate on business plan. If I am in this field, I have to dedicate more on the programming. If I am in this field, and obviously, if I am a young guy, and I see a street that says to me, okay, study, take good marks, and graduate, and try to find a job in a firms, and another street that says, okay, risk all the things that you have to follow your dreams. Maybe if I have some incentives to follow the riskier street, maybe it could be better.
Sure. Okay, thank you. I understand your question. It's very hard to answer because it depends on you, on your psychology. Normally, I can tell you the pros and the contrast of working in a startup and working in a structured environment. But then the decision is up to you. I cannot suggest to you. Well, I can give you what is my personal experience, but I cannot suggest you what to do in your life, of course. So the pros of working in a startup, for sure, is a small environment. So there are a few people. There is you, your boss. Probably you are the boss, and the designer. So you have three, four, five people. You don't have to spend much time in making rules inside the organization. You don't have to be coercive versus your employees. There is a strong collaboration normally between people in a startup. The environment is more friendly. So you go to work and you should not say, I have to work this morning. I would like to do this morning. That is for sure an incentive of going into a startup. One of the contras is that you, when you start, you are amazed of what the product can possibly become. But after a certain amount of time, you could probably lose some of your strength because, for example, you see that some financiers didn't follow you in your idea, or some people didn't believe in your idea. So there is a phase in which your psychology goes a little bit down. And normally this does not happen when you work in a strong environment, because you have to work for objectives, for milestones that are predefined. So you have to reach the objective, and then even if the company as a whole doesn't go so well, for example, there is no amount of money earned in that year, you have reached your milestone, and you will receive money for your job. So one contrary is that in a strong environment you have a fixed amount of salary you receive each month normally. In a startup, not. Until something finances you, you go with a variable salary. So probably you set up 100, 200 euros for fixed salary, and then everything is variable. It depends on how many people adopt your solution, how many users download your application, for example, how many businesses you persuade to adopt your system. So it depends on very variables.
Doing some steps back, what do you think are the most important step during the creation process of a startup, and the most difficult step?
No, the most only one.
Only one. Okay. Or if you have
I don't know. It depends a lot on your idea. For sure, I can list you the steps. First of all, brainstorming. You wake up in the morning and you do brainstorming. You write the conceptualization of your idea, and this is obviously the first milestone. Then you have to, I speak about how to develop an application, a business based on applications. So you have to write the wireframe and the mockup of your product. So after the conceptualization that you have written here on the piece of paper, you translate it into a mockup. So a series of windows representing your mobile phone, your iPad, or your computer, that shows the user what the function of your application are. So, for example, the login screen, then the profile screen, the list of posts. I'm referring to the social network example, as I said before. The list of photos that appear when a user clicks on each post. Something like this. You have to write the mockup. After the mockup, you have to hire a person that makes the code. write the code. So as I said before, you can have it internally or look for someone externally in other startups or in the job market or in your friends. And you have to explain him your idea. This is one of the most difficult phases you have to face, because the ability to translate your idea, even though there is a mock-up that explains the screens, to a programmer, to a software developer that has no idea of what you want. So he says, I have a blank page, a white page, I have to write code. What code do I need? Here I have my mockup, here I have your idea. So you have to translate the idea to him, and you have to work with him in conjunction for the first 2 weeks, for example, because he will ask you many things in your conceptualization. For example, in the user class, do I need the first name, the surname, both, the date of birth, the many fields you need, for example, that you have not put in your mockup because I don't know, you have you didn't think that they were necessary, or he knows that something is necessary for him, but you have not think about it. Then when you have the application ready, and it's a huge step between this application is ready. Normally application takes up to 4-5 months to become ready. And ready, I mean that is available on the market, on the Google Play, on the Apple Store, to be downloaded and is tested. Normally consider that there is a 1 month of testing normally. It depends on your solution that is needed after the coding phase. Then you have to advertise it. So I believe personally that the most difficult for me, in my opinion, phase is advertising your product. Then conceptualize and translate your idea to the programmer. But in my opinion, the marketing phase is the worst. It's the difficult one, most difficult one, because personally I don't have many marketing capacities and abilities. So probably this is my luck. But it's very hard to spread your word, because you have to go to papers, newspapers, radios, televisions, or hackathons to advertise yourself, or to accelerators. You have to move around yourself to look for some people that advertise your solution.
I took the contrary, that was easier advertise than program. Yeah. Which is the moment in which you are not more considered a startup?
Okay. This is related even to the last question. The moment is when, the definition of a startup is a company that makes a product that can be scaled up into the future. So a startup is a company that builds one product and then can replicate the same product with personalization, little changes to other people. So the phase in which you are not more considered a startup is normally when someone invests you a lot of money in you. So for example, when you receive a huge amount of money from an external investor, or if you know the Luisa Labs environment, you know that there is an early stage phase when you receive 30,000 euros plus 50,000 euros, and then there is the exit phase. When you do this exit phase with success, you can be considered a startup that is at a later stage. Then this is not always true, because there are many companies that are considered startups until now, for example, Uber or Airbnb. These are formerly corporates at the moment. Well, corporates maybe is too much, but they are not startup looking for their capital budget. but the market says that they are already startups. So it depends even on the advertising that you do. If you want to be a startup because, for example, the word startup means that you are a friendly environment, an environment where people can work in a good way, that you have a lean way of working, etc., then you try to persuade people that you are a startup until your death. So there is not the fixed point. For sure, the amount of money you receive and the capital that you have in your balance makes a good difference. And then the portfolio of your clients. When you have few clients or when you have 2 years of life, well, you are mostly a startup. In Italy, for example, there is legal diversification between an innovative startup and a normal entrepreneur. And startup is a company that runs in the first 3 years, or at least last year it was this rule. There was this rule: 3 years you are considered a startup. Then no more.
To understand better, would you like to tell us your personal experience with Visual 1993?
Sure. What do you want to underline? What aspects?
The principal moments of the creation of Visual.
Okay, fantastic. So, the principal moments were looking for people. So I didn't wake up in the morning and said I want to run my startup. It was a process that I wanted to do until when I was 15, 16. So the first thing I did was well, before looking for a team, document myself. I was at high school, so I have the time to spend in understanding how software development worked. So I went to the internet and understand how code is written for an application. I started doing my first games, 2 games one for PCs and one for mobile phones. And then at 18 years old, in 2012, if I'm not wrong, I decided to write application for other people's. And I end up my project that I was running since when I was 16. And I said, from the 20 onward, I want to develop something for other people because my ideas cannot last forever. I mean, my ideas maybe are good. One of my ideas effectively was good at the time. I had a product that I've developed, and it was a mobile application, and that was a voice recognition application, more or less like Siri on the iPhones and Google Now on Android phones, but it was running on Nokia's. Don't ask me why I had a Nokia. I had a Nokia at the time, and this was my advantage because nobody developed an application that understands voice on Nokia. Well, there was a software developed by Nokia itself, but it could just understand call mom, call dad, etc. So I developed an application that could understand your spoken language. For example, send a message to Gianmarco stating that I will arrive 10 minutes before. So this was a product that I launched in 2013 and took 30,000 downloads worldwide. So it was, I consider it a success. But then I started developing something for others. That moment was the moment in which I looked for other people because I couldn't do this alone. So I looked for a designer, I looked for a software developer that helped me in some phases and taught me many ways of programming because I was a child, so I didn't know anything. Of course, I don't know anything. I don't know everything of the of the programming world. So I had to learn at that time how to improve my development skills. Well, on the internet, at first, I found freelancers from Russia and India. And then I said, okay, it's impossible to work for a long time. For a short period of time, it's fantastic because they do their job in a very little weeks. But in the long term, you have to rely on a person that is nearby, so that you can look I don't know, once a week or twice a week. You can speak with him in Italian, that is good. You have to learn English for sure to start a business and to be in the IT sector for sure. If you don't know English, you're outside. And yes, you need someone that is around you. The last phase, that is the one that is now happening, is to market my products. So actually I have 3 startups that are relying on my codes. I've written an application for 3 startups, and this is the moment in which I have to help the entrepreneurs of each startup to expand its world. So I have to look, for example, for financiers. I have to look for them, for clients, potential clients, to improve the application UX, user experience, in order for people not to uninstall the application 10 minutes after they have downloaded it. So phases that are not related strongly to the coding, but to the environment of running a startup.
Thank you very much, Luca. To conclude, do you have some advices to us? Because I one of the guys that want to do this kind of things.
Okay, if I ask you to be more specific, I didn't expect this question. Well, I could expect it, but
What do you advise to a guy?
Generally, okay. Practically or abstractly? Okay. Well, practically, learn English, for sure. Learn English up to a level that is C1, B2, C1. Well, if you want to code your own, you have to know English very well, because any manual is written in English. No manual is written on Italian, or at least some traductions are made in Italian, but you cannot rely on these traductions because they link to other researches that then are in English. So you need to know English very well. Then follow the courses. For example, you could follow the courses here in Lewis that I stated below, like digital transformation and digital marketing. Look for others that I may don't know. That are related to the startup models. Then look for the websites of labs, of the startup accelerators that gives you a lot of information on how to develop your business model, Canvas. That is something that you need to do anytime and before you set up your company. I said you before, but because many clients come to me and say, I want to develop this application. I have this budget. How many time will it take to build? Okay. I stop them and I say, do you have a business model Canvas? Because if I write you the application, then it's okay for me because you give me the money. It's okay. But because I want you to expand your business, you have to write your Canvas in order first to persuade other people to believe in you, so to gather the team. Second, to attract financiers, because financiers want a revenue stream and a cost stream, at least. And then to focalize yourself on what is needed and when it's needed. For example, if your idea is very large, it's a huge idea, and you have not the budget to write it at the moment, if you have a Canvas, you can understand which are your key partners, on who can you rely on, and what part of your idea can be started first, then, and finally. So for sure, write the business model canvas. It's not easy to write a business plan. I mean, a quantitative business plan, because probably you don't have the not the knowledge. The knowledge, of course, you have, because you've done here courses, but you don't have the datas to rely on. Do market research on the field that you want to develop on. For example, if you want to build an application for hotels, look for how many hotels there are in Italy, in Rome, how many hotels could be attracted by your solution, how many, I don't know. Do market researches, because they help you to believe yourself in your idea. Because if you have good numbers, good values in your plans, then you smile the next morning.
Perfect. Thank you, Luca. Thank you to... do you have some questions?
Well, I developed an application that is called Dovado. Dovado. I don't know if anyone ever heard. This is a very Roman name. Dovado means where do I go tonight? So I used the past because I started developing this application, and that this application went to another phase of development that is internalized by the startup. But the application that I developed was a list of simply a list of events that took place in Rome, and you could search events into a list, searching for the text, or in a map, looking for the events that were nearby. You could book a ticket for the specific event, and at last we added the functionality to buy the ticket in your application. So you don't have to go to the PR that gives you the ticket, but you acquire it on your mobile phone. So from your home on the bed, you say, what do you have to do this night? What do you want to go? Here. Okay, I acquired the ticket. I purchased the ticket for me, for my friends. I send it to other people. Then we go, we have a QR code, we scan the QR code on the machine that there is at the entrance of the nightclub, or at the iPad that staff has at the entrance, and then you enter the place. Thank you for the question.
I was interested in knowing what is the role of the marketer in a startup. In other words, what is the main job?
Repeat.
What are the main? I wanted to know. I'm interested in the role of the marketer in a startup, and I wanted to know the main competences, jobs of the marketer that works in a startup.
Thank you for the question. The main competencies, the main competencies are being able to advertise your startup on the social networks, for sure. You need to have a person that relies on social networks, that stays all days on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Snapchat, and puts posts, campaigns, events, and you have to make a strong presence of your startup in the social networks. This because at the beginning phase, you need to spread your word. After you've done the prototype, you have to spread the word. So an active presence of on the networks gives you the ability to avoid some expenses on advertisement, like Google advertisement, that can be thought as a generic advertisement. Facebook is more targetized, so you need to look for a person that is able to segment people that you want to attract. You give him the business model canvas in the section where there are indicated customer targets or targets, and then you say, to him, I want to reach those people. I want to reach a specific number of them. For example, in Rome, you have 3 million of citizens. I want to reach 100 of them in 1 month. And he has to know how many amount of money do you need to advertise something on Facebook, on Instagram, etc., etc. Then he must have an ability in communication, in writing the posts, not only in deciding the amount of posts to publish, but even the quality of the single one. Then he must be able to make graphics that are good to see to the user, because and they must be in line with the design, the whole design of your product. For example, the app that I've developed for the disco clubs had the violet color as the main color theme in the whole application. The communication manager, or the person in charge of this, must respect this pattern and produce papers, the little papers, the flyers, for example, or the photos, the border of the photos that he does with the same color or with the same pattern. So it must be coherent with the whole line of your marketing campaign. Then nothing more comes to my mind, but of course there are other competencies that you need. Probably if you follow the course held by Maximo Ibarra, he will be able for sure to list you anything that a marketer needs to have to run your startup.
You're welcome. Are there other questions?
What's the best way to write a business model canvas? How to practically
Download, go to the internet, Chrome. In the URL, you write business model canvas, and there is a website that is businessmodelcanvas.com that is has been built by a professor of economics, I believe in Denmark, but I'm not sure. And you download this web page that contains a big section where there are 12 points, if I'm not wrong. And it starts with key partners, key activities, key researches, costs, revenues, then key customers or targeted customers, there are other boxes that you have to fill. So you have those sections, and it helps you to conceptualize your business model. So you look at the questions in each of these boxes. There are questions printed in the website. You answer those questions in your paper, and then you have a list of answers related to that theme. For example, targeted customers. If you have an application, what application do you want to? What business model? In which field? Perfect. Okay, you have to look for people that are, well, it can be up from, 15 up to 80, probably. But you target them, if the genre of your music is rock or is pop, then people should be between 14 and 30, 40 years old at least. So you focus on them. Then you have to understand males or females or both. This is a gender division. This is for example, the customer segment. Then you have to go to the partners. Which partner helped me to develop my idea? I don't know. Deezer, Spotify. If you want to link your idea with APIs provided by Spotify, then you put Spotify here in the section of the partners, and you say Spotify gives me the API to, play the track. I have the title, I have the author. Spotify gives me the ability to do this. So go to the website, businessmodelcanvas.com. You have a large paper and try to fill it.
Perfect. I think that we have to conclude. So, thank you very much to be here. I hope that you enjoy this interview, and you can follow us next Monday, not because it's vacation, but the other Monday on Radio Luis with Sempre Positivi. Thanks to Luca, and thanks to you. See you next time.